salty snack. Two potato varieties with high water content, Atlantic and Snowden, sliced to 55 1/1000ths of an inch, are dropped in a roiling 340-degree vat of sweet cottonseed oil for 2.5 minutes, and then doused with 95 milligrams of salt, just as the fried crispy chips emerge. So the salt sticks to the still gleaming oil.
We package about 16,000 pounds of potato chips an hour here at us. The entire process, depending on a number of different factors, is about a 15 to 20 minute process from the time the potatoes are unloaded until the product is in our warehouse or distribution center.
Potato chips are the best-selling salty snack by far, with over 100 different brands of potato chips, each competing to be the #1 crunch. But if it wasn't for one irate chef in Saratoga, New York, there may not have been a single one.
It was one of those great discoveries in salted snacks.
It happened in the summer of 1853 at an upscale restaurant called the Moon's Lake House when a patron ordered some fried potatoes.
He didn't like his potatoes, they weren't sliced thin enough, and they were soggy. He sent them back to the kitchen with a complaint. And the chef, one George Crumb, who was a irascible fellow by nature in the first place, and as people know, cooks are a little testy by nature in the second place, wasn't too happy getting the food sent back. Instead of simply cooking a new set of potatoes, he said, "I'll show him thin and crispy."
So he sliced the potatoes as thin as he could, fried and salted them, and sent the crispy potatoes back out, intending to insult the man by making him eat with his hands.
No diner in those days, no gentleman would have dreamed of picking up food at the table with his fingers. In fact, even an apple and a pear at the table was eaten with a knife and fork. But instead of being upset, the diner looked at the potato chip and was quite delighted. All of the other diners saw it, and I want what he's having, so pretty soon it entered the menu as Saratoga chips.
Unfortunately for Crumb, he never patented his invention, and soon other restaurants began serving Saratoga chips.
Traditionally, potato chips were a part of the meal. They were not a snack food at all. They would be served when you would receive your steak, you would receive your potato chips along with them.
By the 1890s, potato chips were popular enough that entrepreneurs figured they could sell them outside the restaurants as one of the many bulk items sold in grocery stores. It was a monumental moment for the potato chip.
By becoming a grocery store product, potato chips became accessible to everyone. You didn't have to go to a restaurant in order to have them. It wasn't part of a formal meal anymore. It was the transition to becoming a snack food as opposed to a part of a meal.
A Cleveland, Ohio man named William Tappan would be one of the first potato chip manufacturers when he began producing chips in 1895. Soon, potato chip producers were popping up all over the country.
There was a huge number of very small manufacturers, often people who were farmers and were growing potatoes and would start a little potato chip operation.
You would have small producers who would make them in their homes during the day and then cart them around to local towns and villages and sell them out of their horse-drawn wagons.
By the 1920s, potato chips were a part of American culinary life.
And the potatoes grown in Pennsylvania were the most popular. They were rounder and thinner skinned than an Idaho baking potato, and therefore easier to peel and slice. One Pennsylvania potato chip success story was Bill and Sally Utz, who started their business in 1921.
Well, Bill Utz was a factory worker in the 1920s with a pad over his shoe. There was an older gentleman in York, Pennsylvania who had a small hand operation who wanted to retire, so they scraped together $300, which in the 1920s was a lot of money for a factory worker who didn't make $5 a week.
While Bill went door to door to local stores, Sally Utz fried the chips in a kettle in the kitchen.
That first little hand kettle produced about 50 pounds of potato chips